Good nick, Julie Camacho team. Really going along well. Something About Her is 11 to 8. Janet's Girl is 3 to 1, just shortened up half a point or so. Cool Legacy is the one for a little bit of money. Going the other way is Apples in Winter. Work for a Dime, 8s and 16s and bigger the rest. There's a loose horse. I can't tell you who it is, but there's definitely a loose one. There you are. Galloping away, I'm afraid, is horse number 19 ahead of this 155. Kid's Choice doesn't have his rider on board, so that's a shame. We might be set for a little bit of a delay here. Something About to head to the betting, though, Dom.
She does, Tom. Yes, Something About Her and at the head of the market in the absence of Anna Lecca, who would have been her main market rival. But there's the Kid's Choice. Just heard that she slipped up on the way down, and she looks none the worse for it. Hopefully Michael Connor's okay. She's just kind of, well, she shaped as if she might slow down there on the run to the end of the back straight, but there's nothing really over there, so hopefully she'll canter around. Well, there's a fence there to stop her. Hopefully somebody will get her. The good news is that she looks in good form, in good terms with herself. So hopefully she'll be caught soon, but just gives us a chance to talk about some of the runners. Something About Her. She's a well-bred mare. Her dam's a half-sister to Direct Route, who was obviously a top-class 2-mile chaser, won a Tingle Creek Chase, excelled at Aintree, I think, won a couple of those Grade 1 races at Aintree, and went so close in the Champion Chase, was just beaten by Edredon Bleu, and from the same family of Joe Mack. So plenty to like about her breeding, and also plenty to like about her performances so far on the racetrack. She won her only bumper. She beat She Is Electric in that at Limerick back a couple of seasons ago, and then her last 2 runs over hurdles have been good. She was third behind Troubled Times, Sam Curling's horse, and she went and won at Cork Next Time, enhanced that form, and then Something About Her went and finished second behind Birdie or Bus at Tipperary last time. She was pretty well beaten in the end by Birdie or Bus, but she's a good mare of Henry de Bromhead's and JP McManus's, and it wasn't a bad run by Something About Her to get as close to her as she did. Pádraig Roach's mare. Good to see Aidan Kelly back on board. He's just saying an extra there. He came back from injury, won on Costanucci for John Queally at Tremor there on Friday. So good to see him back. He takes the ride and can resume where he left off for the season. He claims a really valuable £7. And these meetings, this is the second one. We had one at Clonmel yesterday that's restricted to riders who have ridden 15 or fewer winners last season. And they're good opportunities for these riders. Daniel King made the most of the opportunity yesterday. He had 2 rides, 2 winners at Clonmel. And we've got a good few more of these as well. It gives the seasoned professionals a chance to take a break as well. Our second favourite's Guinness Girl. She was pulled up the last time we saw her, so you have to allow her that at Thurles back at the end of November. But she's had a nice break since then. She finished second behind Carrick Rock in a qualified riders maiden hurdle at Sligo the time before that. And the third horse from that, Western Commander, went and won at Down Royal 2 runs later. So that form has been enhanced, and her run behind the Model Kingdom at Tipperary in early October, that was a really good run. The Model Kingdom, good horse of good mare of Noel Meads, has got a rating in the high 120s. And Guinness Girl is still a lightly raced horse. Just getting official confirmation that the Kid's Choice has been withdrawn. Last I heard, she was still running loose though, so still not caught. So everybody else seems to be ready to go. Just hearing that she's just been caught, so that's good news. So hopefully she'll be taken off the track very quickly. There she is there. Seems in good form, good terms with herself. And she's been withdrawn, so hopefully she'll just be taken off the track and then the race can get started. Work for a Dime is an interesting mare as well of Charles Burns, as she was 4th behind on V last time. I thought she went pretty fast early on that day. On V went with her, and on V's 120 odd rated horse, he was just too classy for that. His rivals in that maiden hurdle. I think he runs at Perth tomorrow actually on V, Gordon Elliott's horse. But Work for a Dime only finished 4th in the end. She was caught by Zeta Bite, a stable companion of the winner, for 3rd place. But I think she can be marked up a little bit on that, given that she tried to match strides early on with Dunveer, tried to lead him. So she's an 8 to 1 shot now, pretty solid in the market. Apples in Winter as well was a wee bit weak on the caption that we saw, but she had been strong before that. She was a much bigger price this morning. And while the opening show was a little bit shorter than that, she has been solid. And her run behind Night and Day at Clonmel in January, she was well beaten by Night and Day, but she stayed on well to take second place behind her, Willie Mullins' mare. And a reproduction of that would give her a chance in here. Liam Casey had Rule of June, ran a really good race yesterday, was only just beaten in her finale at Clonmel by Balcato. Coming into line though, so let's go to Jerry.
Over 2 3/4 miles in the Adam McIreland Mare's Maiden Hurdle. A relatively short run of the first flight. It's Line in the Sand, Apples and Winter, and between them is Ginnett's Girl, the Grey Park runner. Made a slight mistake, pushed along on landing to go back up to the leaders. So it's Park Runner joining Ginnett's Girl. And then Line in the Sand and Apples and Winter. On the inside is Rebel Treaty with the leaders Something About Her and the blue and pink. And then Nurse Garvey and Amir next. And they're followed out of the back straight by Cool Legacy and Cool Miner Star. Perfect Way on the inside of Million Milan and in the north of Nashville and Work for the Dime and Ideal Dilemma, a couple of lengths to Castle High Tide, and then Georgie's Gal, Small Cash Prize. Over the second flight and jumping on in front, Nurse Garvey heads the Grey Park runner, then Line in the Sand. They're followed by Ginnett's Girl, flight number 3 coming up. On the inside is Rebel Treaty as they come to swing it in the straight. A reminder on landing for Amir in the maroon and white. Nurse Garvey just in front on the turn in from Park Runner, Ginnett's Girl, Rebel Treaty, Line in the Sand, followed in the first time by Something About Her, and then Apples and Winter, and Cool Legacy and Cool Miner Start and Work for a Dime. Amir next on the inside, the north of Nashville, followed to flight number 4 by Million Milan. As they reach their final 2 miles, and it's Nurse Garvey and Jack Foley, a couple of lengths in front of Park Runner, Conor Roar. Running the rail is Rebel Treaty and Lee McKenna, then Ginnett's Girl, Line in the Sand, Something About Her. And Park Runner went to wipe out Rebel Treaty at that 4th flight after shifting off to the right on takeoff, as it is Line in the Sand, just edging ahead of Nurse Garvey. And third is Ginnett's Girl, then Something About Her, Apples and Winter, Cool Legacy next, and then Cool Miner Star. Park Runner's Antics now sees her in mid-division, then north of Nashville. And Million Milan on the inside, mistakes there. Million Milan, Park Runner, badly inconvenienced Small Cash Prize. Going up to the top of the track, it's Line in the Sand, the leader, by 3 parts to Nurse Garvey. 2 lengths off them, and third is Ginnett's Girl, then Something About Her. Improving onto their heels is Cool Miner Star, and then Apples and Winter. Cool Legacy north of Nashville and Amir. A reminder for Ideal Dilemma, then Million Milan and Work for a Dime. Rebel Treaty fades on the inside, then Park Runner and Castle High Tide. For the back in the field to Perfect Way, and then Georgie's Gal and Small Cash Prize. Going downhill towards halfway, Nurse Garvey, Line in the Sand, first and second, then Ginnett's Girl. Joined for third by Something About Her, and then Cool Miner Star. Cool Legacy takes closer order in the red jacket. A couple of lengths then in north of Nashville. Apples and Winter, Million Milan on the inside. Losing Ideal Dilemma at that flight. Parted company with Hugh Morgan. Line in the Sand and Nurse Garvey matching strides, turning into the back straight. Moving into third place is Something About Her. And fourth is Ginnett's Girl, and fifth is Cool Legacy. Followed then by Cool Miner Star and north of Nashville, and Apples and Winter and Million Milan and Work for a Dime. Rebel Treaty and Mere Park Runner. Castle High Tide has gone away from A Perfect Way and Georgie's Gal as they jump the flight at the end of a circuit. Another 7 furlongs to go. It's Nurse Garvey, Line in the Sand, followed by Something About Her, and then Ginnett's Girl, the white cab, close up in fourth as they go to the last flight in the back straight. After Ginnett's Girl is Cool Legacy in the north of Nashville, and Apples and Winter next. The leads are tightening up. Nurse Garvey and Line in the Sand, closely followed by Something About Her, Ginnett's Girl. North of Nashville makes steady ground on the outside of Cool Legacy, and then Apples and Winter and Million Milan next, followed by Cool Miner Star. Work for a Dime, Rebel Treaty, Park Runner breaking clear of Castle High Tide. 5 furlongs to go. They're heading for the third last flight, and it's Nurse Garvey just in front on the inside of Line in the Sand. And then Janet's Girl, Something About Her, north of Nashville next with Cool Legacy. They're being followed to 3 out by Apples and Winter. Over this one, 4 furlongs from the finish, it's Nurse Garvey, Line in the Sand, continuing 1 and 2. Gone up to them is Janet's Girl and Something About Her, north of Nashville, right with them in the orange jacket over the second last. Landing together, Something About Her, Janet's Girl and north of Nashville, 2 in front of Cool Legacy. Line in the Sand is next, then a gap to Apples and Winter. Tying up is Nurse Garvey, and then Cool Miner Star work for the dime, Million Milan and Rebel Treaty as they spin into the straight to the final flight. In the opening, Aramac Ireland Mare's Maiden Hurdle, and it's Something About Her and Nathan Kelly in front, stretching their lead to a couple of lengths over Janet's Girl. Danny Gilligan, and third is north of Nashville and Jody McGarvey, and then Cool Legacy. They're getting spaced out. 1 flight left to jump, and out in front is Something About Her with a lead now of a widening 4 to 5 lengths. Steadies into the last, safely over from Janet's Girl. Apples and Winters coming for the third ahead of north of Nashville, then Cool Legacy, Line in the Sand and Cool Miner Star. But it is Something About Her going a position better than last time. Wins in good style for Aidan Kelly and Porrig Roach. Over the line second, Janet's Girl. Apples and Winter is third, north of Nashville fourth.
Something About Her has continued her upward trajectory, has built on her last couple of runs, finished third on a penultimate run, the second last time at Tipperary, and she's done it well, got to the line in front this time, and she's always travelled like a likely winner from a fairway out. Aidan Kelly rode it with a lot of confidence just in behind the pace, and when he moved her up on the outside and asked her to pick up, she's picked up really nicely and kicked on off the home turn, immediately put a distance of ground between herself and her pursuers, and down to that, she's pricked her ear. She got in a wee bit tight, but she's well in front. Aidan Kelly's just happy to allow her go in and pop it. She's popped it nicely, and she's kept on well up the run in to come a fairway clear of Guinness Girl. The margin extending all the way to the line. Guinness Girl, she's run well as well. She was her main market rival, and she's done well. She was always just up close on the pace, and just as they run around the home turn, north of Nashville, starting to just fade out of it there. She's done well to stick with those two for as long as she did, and Nurse Garvey led them, and she looked to be travelling well. She just faded quite quickly before the home turn, but it's Something About Her has got onto the front end, and her main rival is in front of her coming down to the final flight. Just a little bit of a look at it, but that's more than acceptable. She's just careful over it. North of Nashville made a mistake at the final flight, and that allowed Apples and Winter stay on really well, continuing a good run that the Liam Casey horses are enjoying. She's come from a fairway back and stayed on from the rear. She's the only one really who was able to get into it from the rear, but Something About Her and Guinness Girl, they were both handy from early, with North and Nashville back and forth, and Cool Legacy has kept on to finish fifth. But it's a nice performance by Something About Her. It's a winning favourite, Porrig Roach's mare, in the colours of Shanahan, Magnier and McLennan.